Hey, and welcome back. We're going to go ahead and work on some of the staircases we have on these porches. And this is a really great opportunity to introduce you to the solid tools in SketchUp. Now, we've got a lot of stuff here. Plenty of tools that we can utilize, and we've also played around with these styles here. One of the other things that we have in those toolbars that we turned on and turned off, which seems like ages ago, are these guys, the solid tools. And what the solid tools do is we're going to go ahead and zoom off to this side here for a little bit. We're going to go back to our scratch space that we've been using, and I'll pull this a little closer. Is if we have a rectangle, let's say, let's pull it up, and we make that a group. 1, 2, 3, right click, make a group. If we have another one of those, let's say it's right here, and let's say it's a little up. And let's say we even put one more. Solids in SketchUp and a lot of 3D modeling software are basic geometric shapes, so cone, cylinder, sphere, cube, or rectilinear prism, that have no extra geometry. There's not extra lines in there. There's no holes. It's almost like a solid bubble that just happens to have flat sides. What we're going to do is the solid tools will let us take one of those and combine it with another one. Now, you don't need to get in the habit of using the section planes, but it's an opportunity for us to kind of do an X-ray view of things. And actually, let's not even worry about section planes now, but let's do an X-ray view. Let's go back to view. There's our styles. They were right there. So let's take an X-ray view. If we take an X-ray view, and maybe we want to just say back edges. See all those dotted lines? Those are the back edges of things in there. We know we've got a bunch of cubes that are stacked inside of each other. Now, if I take the solid tools, I can combine one cube with another one, and then with another one. Now, we might not be able to see it too well with the X-ray view, but if I hide one of these faces, you can see that those cubes have kind of merged into one singular group. And I'm going to use that over here on our porches. What we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of things we've already done before, where we're going to take a rectangle, we're going to extrude it into a rectilinear prism or a cube, whatever you would like to call it, and make that a group. Then we're going to take that group and duplicate it in an array, which we've done before. The only additional thing we're going to do is we're going to use the solid tools to combine all of those individual stairs into a big long staircase. So take this guy, let's put him up here off to the side. Put it right there. That'll be fine. So let's go ahead and make a rectangle. Let's take a rectangle. Let's start him here. Now, these stairs, if we were to actually look at these stairs, they would probably, in profile, look something where we had, here's the profile of each staircase, and we might have this little curved extension on it like that, to where when we actually extended them, they'd have this little rounding. We're not going to deal with that today, although we could if you wanted to make a staircase with these straight rectangles and then wanted to challenge yourself and maybe delete that work and try again with the rounding, go right ahead. So let's make a rectangle, and we're going to make kind of a one bigger than what we think we might need. I'm going to extrude that back. And we're going to say 1, 2, 3, make it a group. Now I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to grab the front corner, and I'm going to bring it up to, well, let's say right here, where that front corner looks like it is. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now I've lost place, I'll count again. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's the 18th. So I will say divide 18 and hit enter. And I've put staircases in, or stairs, along that line from one to the other. I'm going to grab those stairs and I'll bring them out here a little bit. And now I can use my solid tools, and I can grab one, then another. And I can just keep clicking along and zip them all together into one singular thing. And now I can do a couple of things. I can take this guy, and let's move it back into place. And let's go ahead and double click, and I will, oops, looks like I forgot one guy. So now that he's back, let's just take our solid tools, and we'll take this guy, and we'll add that one guy back on. We'll take this, and now we will extrude this out to there. And just for the sake of having this flat, let's pull this last guy all the way down at the bottom. We can adjust him later. So we have a staircase on one of our porches, near one of our porches, I should say. And we're going to do the same thing we do with the columns. We're going to hit Control X. Now we'll go into our porch, and we'll say Edit, Paste in Place, and we've added him to each porch, which is pretty nice. Now this pass-through that we talked about, let's go ahead and add it onto this guy. So we'll go double-click in him. We'll come down and look at this pass-through. Now it seems to me reasonable to assume that this pass-through would be directly below this pass-through above. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and operate under that assumption. I'm going to go ahead and hold my line just over that endpoint for a little while. And now as I come down to this line, you can see if I move along it, it'll lock onto being just in line with that guy. Do the same thing on this side. Hold it just for a second so it references the endpoint. Now if I slide along my line, it'll give me a reference to that endpoint. Coming up, I don't really know what that curve was, so I'll come back into my section. I'll grab my two-pointed arc, and let's take a look at our two-pointed arc now. I told you that we were going to do a little bit more of a discussion when we utilize it here on this molding. But the two-pointed arc works in a way that you click an endpoint, click another endpoint, and you dictate the swell of that arc. So we can go all the way up to a half circle. We can go beyond that, or anywhere in between. So let's go back to our porch, double click, and let's go ahead and draw an endpoint there, endpoint here, and let's just pull it up to the point where it lines up with what we see. We'll delete these extra little flags, and if we look underneath our porch, it looks solid all the way through, and that's what we're going to do is we're going to take this guy and we're going to zip him all the way through. And as I do it, you can see it filling in all of the rest of the porches. So we come back to our model. Now we have our porch, we have our pass-through, we've got a pass-through up at the top, we have our staircase, we have our molding along the top. We're really making a heck of a lot of really good progress. And I think the next thing we're going to deal with are these windows. These windows are also going to be components, but they're components that have a little bit of a hook. So I will see you in a few moments, and we'll deal with those. Just these. Oh, we'll throw in these two. These two windows is all we're going to do with that model. I know I keep adding more and more than I promise every video, but on these, I promise we'll just do this one and this one. I'll see you in a bit.